Wildfire smoke smothering much of Canada this Monday night.
The photos don't do justice at all. You can taste it.
The health hazards from raging wildfires and the new evacuations. Gazans dying to get food.
Imagine, if you will, the Hunger Games.
What hundreds of former Israeli security officials are urging. Radio silence. The suspicions Manitoba's families minister is blocking emails from foster parents. A clothing retailer's controversial commercial.
You see what I did there, right?
Why the American president is weighing in on this American Eagle ad. Plus, unwanted pets wanted. The uproar over one zoo's request.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Nitu Garcha.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. This summer of smoke is putting a damper on holiday plans in many parts of the country. Across Canada and into parts of the northeastern U.S., a thick haze is blanketing the sky, bringing with it severe air quality alerts. Environment Canada shows several provinces and territories affected, including Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and the Northwest Territories, all dealing with warnings this long weekend. With more than 700 fires still burning, mostly in the prairies, cities like Toronto have seen some of the worst air quality recorded worldwide. And the smoke isn't just affecting visibility, it's also causing serious health hazards. While the conditions are expected to improve in the coming days, experts warn each additional day of exposure to smoke compounds health risks with the potential for long-term effects. Heather Yourex-West has our top story tonight.
Eerie images of Canada's summer of smoke. During the Canadian Open tennis tournament in Toronto, daylight looked like dusk. And while Toronto and Montreal saw smoky skies again Monday, the situation was even worse up north. According to Environment Canada, Fort Smith in the Northwest Territories had the worst air quality in the country. Northern Manitoba saw terrible conditions as well, something residents of Thompson have become accustomed to. It's been like this day after day.
The photos don't do justice at all. You can taste it in your house. You taste it, your eyes burn. A lot of people are having asthmatic episodes.
Basically, we're telling people to, shelter in place, stay indoors, keep windows and that closed. The whole province is smoky.
The mayor of Thompson says a number of city residents have had to seek medical care because of the smoke.
If poor air quality becomes a consistent feature of our daily lives, and it looks like it is going to be that, you are going to start seeing long-term complications, increased risk of lung disease, increased risks of heart disease.
It burns your lungs. It just kills your lungs. You're taking breaks more frequently just to try to catch your breath. And I know for my elderly members of the family, they can't even leave the house.
There are about 750 fires burning across Canada, forcing new evacuations from the west to the east coast. In Newfoundland and Labrador, several coastal communities, including Small Point, Broad Cove, and Kingston, were evacuated Monday as a wildfire spread nearby. As the Wesley Ridge fire on BC's Vancouver Island grew to more than 500 hectares. Officials say it remains out of control.
It might seem really calm one moment, but that's mostly because of the conditions, and it can change so quickly and then fire up like a beast, and I've watched it do that several times.
The air quality across southern Ontario and Quebec is expected to improve gradually over the next week. But it is only early August, and Canada's long fire season is far from done. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
And joining me now is Global News senior meteorologist Kristi Gordon. Kristi, when and where can people expect some relief from the smoke?
Thanks so much, Nitu. So we are expecting some welcome relief in many parts of the country, but it really depends on where you live as to whether that relief will last very long. So let me point out these areas here where we have the thickest smoke will see a change with a strong southwest flow developing, and that will push a lot of that smoke towards the northeast. And you can see some relief in many parts of northern Saskatchewan and northern Manitoba from that widespread smoke. It will still be very thick right in and around the fires and in a plume sort of extending from there, but at least some relief there. Meanwhile, across southern Ontario, we will get some dispersion as we head into tomorrow, but it's not going to be a full clearing. It may not be until Wednesday or into Thursday that we'll start to see conditions really improve across those regions, and it will likely last longer. However, we are going to see conditions deteriorate once again Wednesday and into Thursday as the winds die down across these areas here and the smoke becomes widespread once again, which of course this area has been dealing with for many, many days now.
Okay, Global News senior meteorologist Kristi Gordon, thanks. The Canadian Armed Forces has airdropped critical aid into Gaza. The federal government says Jordan helped facilitate the delivery of 21,600 pounds of aid. Canada also repeated calls for the guarantee of safe and unimpeded access for humanitarian groups. It's an increasingly dangerous situation. Dozens of Palestinians have been killed or injured as desperate crowds race toward food distribution points. Israel's blockade and military offensive have made it extremely difficult to deliver aid safely. Canada's Prime Minister this week called Israel's obstruction of aid a violation of international law. Today, local media reported Israel's apparent intention to fully occupy the Gaza Strip, including expanding operations in areas where hostages are believed to be held. Vincent McAviney reports, and a warning: some of the content is disturbing.
Malnourished Palestinians risking their lives to collect aid from the US and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. At least 10 of them were reportedly killed today by Israeli forces. Another 5 people appeared to die of starvation in what humanitarian agencies warn may be an unfolding famine. Today they buried some of the 27 killed collecting aid on Sunday. Now a contractor previously involved with the foundation, which largely replaced the UN's operations in May, is speaking out about the situation.
Imagine, if you will, the Hunger Games. Thousands of people, a congested site, one way in, one way out, people fighting for survival, women, children, the elderly, men, the disabled. Trying to control that is impossible.
In Israel, hostage families have been holding rallies calling on the government to secure their release after another hostage video was released. This one shows an emaciated 22-year-old Rom Breslavsky unable to stand and pleading through tears for more food and water to be allowed into Gaza. His family says he's been broken by his captors and forgotten about. It's unclear when this video was shot, and Global News cannot independently verify it. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on Israelis to stay united. Ahead of his security cabinet meeting this week, he's reportedly decided on a full occupation of Gaza, expanding military operations into areas where hostages are believed to be held. Some 600 retired Israeli security officials, including former heads of intelligence agencies, have written to US President Donald Trump to urge Netanyahu to immediately end the war in Gaza, arguing Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat. The two leaders' relationship has become fractious in recent weeks, and Trump has commented on the hunger now apparent in Gaza. But throughout this war, Netanyahu has resisted attempts to pressurize his government, much to the frustration of Palestinians and hostage families. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
At least 68 people were killed when their boat capsized off the coast of Yemen. 12 people were rescued alive after the vessel sank in rough waters in the treacherous Gulf of Aden. 74 others are missing and presumed dead. Yemen is a key route for African migrants fleeing conflict and poverty to reach wealthy countries like the United Arab Emirates. Smugglers often cram people into overcrowded boats with little safety equipment on board. Pakistan is now resuming the forced deportations of 1.4 million Afghan refugees who fled the country after their homeland was taken over by the Taliban 4 years ago. The country's government is refusing to extend their legal status, which expired in June. According to the Associated Press, police are now going door to door to find and detain Afghan refugees before transporting them to border crossings. The UN Refugee Agency is criticizing the move, saying it could jeopardize Afghan lives and is calling for a more dignified repatriation process. It could be a pivotal week in Russia's war on Ukraine. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to visit Russia Wednesday. That's ahead of President Donald Trump's Friday deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire deal or face secondary sanctions that could spill over to other countries. But Trump's tough rhetoric has fallen short of moving the dial. Reggie Cicchini reports on the diplomatic stalemate.
Russia warned its summer offensive would be fierce, and with a military might that far exceeds that of its neighbor, the consequences are impossible for Ukraine to avoid. We're getting 16 or 17 wounded soldiers a day, this military doctor claims. I've stopped counting. This field hospital in eastern Ukraine is a reminder of how close the enemy is. It's estimated Russia has made 8 to 10 kilometers of gains in just the last month.
A tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed, and likewise Ukraine, a lower number.
Ceasefire negotiations have resulted in prisoner swaps, but little else. And with the U.S. running out of patience, it's dispatching go-to envoy Steve Witkoff back to Moscow to remind Russia it's on borrowed time.
The goal would probably be to try to impress upon the Kremlin that this deadline will be enforced in some meaningful way.
Donald Trump has given Vladimir Putin until this Friday to accept a ceasefire, and failure to act could result in a direct hit on his economy.
We need to get real about dealing with the financing of this war.
Trump is vowing to use an economic tool for foreign policy leverage, threatening tariffs on countries, namely India and China, over purchases of Russian energy that make external sanctions more tolerable.
If Indian commerce and Chinese equipment are not in the picture, then Vladimir Putin has a very, very difficult balancing act to keep his war in Ukraine going and also to keep the Russian economy and Russian society functioning.
Delhi and Beijing are so far refusing to budge, leaving Trump to either back away and look weak or move forward, risking relationships with two key trading partners who are allowing Putin to drag his feet in a war that he says will only end on his terms. Reggie Cicchini, Global News, Washington.
There's turbulence for Boeing today. More than 3,000 of its workers are now on strike. The employees based in Missouri and Illinois are responsible for assembling Boeing's military fighter jets. They walked off the job after rejecting a second contract offer from the aviation giant. The workers' union says striking workers deserve a deal that recognizes their expertise. Boeing says it's disappointed employees rejected an offer that included a 40% average wage increase. And in New Jersey, there was panic and chaos aboard a commuter train this morning. Thick smoke filled a car, sending passengers rushing towards the exit. A fire broke out beneath the train. 13 people were treated for smoke inhalation. 9 were transported to hospital. Service was disrupted on 2 lines for nearly 5 hours. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Pushing for an answer. Any answer. Coming up, the evidence Manitoba's families minister may be blocking emails from foster parents. Plus, unplugged, why South Korea is removing the loudspeakers that blasted anti-North Korean propaganda. And controversial request, what one zoo wants to do with unwanted pets. Ontario police have confirmed 2 more bodies were found Sunday inside a burnt-out home at the center of a murder investigation in the town of Bracebridge, and the suspect is still on the loose tonight. There are now 3 victims in the case. Their identities are still being confirmed. The first was found outside the house, which went up in flames Friday night. Police were called over reports of gunfire. Investigators believe that victim was known to the 29-year-old suspect. Child welfare workers in Manitoba say too many children aging out of foster homes into transition programs are being set up to fail, and that some of these programs have little oversight and accountability when things go wrong. The province's Children's Advocate and Foster Parents Association are calling on the government for changes and reviews, but they say their concerns have gone unheard. And as Melissa Ridgen explains, they're wondering if Manitoba's Families Minister is blocking their emails.
After years of feeling ignored by a Conservative government, the Manitoba Foster Parents Association had high hopes when the NDP were elected 2 years ago.
So this is when she did respond to me.
Nahanni Fontaine's 2024 letter was the first time a Families Minister bothered to reach out.
Essentially, it's saying, thank you for helping to support children in care, but we're not, looking for any particular advice. We're looking to Indigenous leadership and to decolonize child welfare.
It was a polite brush off, at least. But last week, another board member was concerned when she messaged the minister about a memorial event for children who've died in the child welfare system, and her email didn't generate the usual auto reply.
She reached out to me, and so I said, okay, I'll send it through the association email. I did that, and I sent it to other MLAs as well. Received confirmation from other MLAs, but not from Minister of Families. So then I tried with my business account, and it went through.
The minister had made it clear she wasn't interested in advice from foster parents, but FAO believes their email addresses have been blocked. The association speaks for caregivers of 10,000 children in the system. It comes on the heels of this.
Last week it came to light that Nahanni Fontaine, the minister in question, had blocked every member of the APTN News team on social media. Nahanni Fontaine said, quote, "Immediately upon learning the journalists were blocked on my social media account, I directed staff to reverse the decision."
The Manitoba government didn't respond to several attempts from Global News looking for answers about the email situation.
You're preventing advocacy, you're promoting silence. It's a very dangerous path to go down.
There was no response to interview requests for the minister.
This isn't unusual when things get hot, heated, or there might be some negative feedback, input, or comments made. This minister has a tendency to block all of that, making it very challenging for people who are involved in the child welfare system.
Manitoba has the highest per capita rate of kids in care in Canada, around 10,000 at any given time, and the Foster Parents Association says not being able to communicate with the minister responsible for these children makes their job that much harder. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
Dangerous eruption ahead. The warnings about a historic volcanic eruption in Russia. In the hopes of easing tensions, the South Korean government is getting rid of its loudspeakers at the country's border with North Korea. The devices were used on and off for decades to broadcast propaganda criticizing the North's authoritarian and repressive regime. They also aired news from around the world and even K-pop music. It's believed they could be heard more than 20 kilometers into North Korea. Pyongyang has yet to react to the move. In eastern Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, a long-dormant volcano is erupting and could endanger nearby tourists. A lava flow from the volcano is now 3 kilometers long and approaching a nearby actively melting glacier. Scientists warn if the lava reaches the glacier, it could trigger mud flows and wash away a section of a highway, trapping tourists at a separate volcanic complex. The volcano is erupting for the first time in 600 years. In New Zealand, a woman has been arrested on child neglect charges after a 2-year-old girl was found alive inside a suitcase stowed on a coach bus yesterday. Police say the bus driver discovered the toddler during a stop while checking on the vehicle's luggage compartment. They say she was very hot but otherwise unharmed. She was taken to hospital. The woman was scheduled to appear in court today. Next, divisive denims. Why this fashion ad campaign has sparked political backlash in the U.S. A zoo in Denmark is making headlines for an unusual donation request. Aalborg Zoo is asking guinea pig, chicken, and rabbit owners to donate unwanted pets, which they say will be gently euthanized to feed the zoo's predators. It's also accepting live horse donations, with owners potentially being eligible for a tax break. The zoo says it has a responsibility to imitate the natural food chain of its animals and that smaller livestock make up an important part of its predators' diets. Fast fashion brand American Eagle has been weaving controversy in recent days over its latest ad campaign featuring actress Sydney Sweeney. The campaign is all about Sweeney's so-called good genes, a pun on her looks and the clothes she's promoting. Though what seems like innocuous wordplay has somehow sparked much outrage, big enough that even the U.S. president has chimed in. Candace Cole explains why.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
A rising star in a clothing brand's provocative new ad campaign. But is it political? It's got the American president's attention.
She's a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ad. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic.
But the campaign has also ignited controversy, particularly online, with both American Eagle and Sweeney, the White Lotus Euphoria and Handmaid's Tale star, getting heavy backlash, with critics calling it a nod to American eugenics.
Historically,
there was this notion that blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin was beauty and everything else was not. Casting someone who fits that bill and says that they have good genes, it then signifies that there are bad genes. Then what are bad genes then?
The ad prompting pop star Lizzo to create her own parody.
We ain't got no Waffle House, we pulling up to the Denny's.
While much of the backlash has centered around race, some analysts are seeing inspiration in ads from the 1980s and 90s that pushed buttons too. Like this one from Calvin Klein featuring a teenaged Brooke Shields.
Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual.
American Eagle Outfitters has posted a statement saying Sydney Sweeney has great genes is and always was about the genes. Her genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their AE genes with confidence their way. Great genes look good on everyone. Of course, the brand is enjoying a return to relevance not seen in years, which may mean the campaign is working just as intended.
If you're an ad agency or a marketing firm trying to market a pair of jeans that have been around forever, the worst possible scenario is no one notices you. So you have to be a bit edgy, a bit provocative. You have to do something disruptive, and they did all three.
American Eagle stock soared Monday after Trump's further endorsement, taking to Truth Social to call it the hottest ad out there. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
And that is Global National for this Monday night. I'm Neetu Garcha. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Eckville, Alberta, Selkirk, Manitoba, and Hampton, New Brunswick. Keep them coming. Send your pictures of Canadian pride to Global National at globalnews.ca. Thanks so much for watching. Donna will be back with you tomorrow. Have a great night.